that are working today on the project. That is Concord Group, HGA, and Gilbane. Concord Group is the owner's representation. HGA is the engineers and designers, and Gilbane. So we have some of the members here today from Gilbane and from HGA. I'm Andrew Laska. I'm with HGA, and I'm the project manager on the project.
I'm John Gilroy with Gilbane Building Company, project executive for the project.
I'm Andy Radowski. I'm the project architect for the Living Tower project.
And I'm Kara McDonough. I'm an interior designer with HGA.
If anyone can't hear us, let us know, and we'll speak up and make sure that everyone can hear. Kara, can you? Quickly, a little bit about HGA. We are a full-service architecture and engineering firm. We're headquartered in Minneapolis. We were founded in 1953. The second office of HGA's was in the Milwaukee area. We are the second largest of the different offices that we have. Overall, as a firm, we have about 850 people. 200 of those are located in the Milwaukee office. We work on a variety of different projects. National level, we specialize in large, complex buildings that vary from hospitals to headquarters to federal buildings. We also do a lot of work in the local area. Some of these buildings you're probably familiar with, Freighter, the Harley-Davidson Museum, the Art Museum, currently working also on the ballet. We do a lot for environment of aging. That's one of our areas of expertise and why we're attracted and drawn to this project, and one of the things that we bring to it as a team.
And I'm with Gilbane Building Company, founded back in 1873, right here locally. I've been with Gilbane for 30 years now. Part of a large building company that services clients across the entire globe, over 2,700 employees, always within the top 5 builders in the entire United States. But what we're most proud of is everything we do here locally. Over the past 30 years, have had the opportunity to work on so many exciting projects, and couldn't be more excited to be here at St. Camillus talking about this project and some of the awesome things that are going to happen here on campus. We've been involved with Schreiber Foods and the largest state-owned office building in Madison, Wisconsin that was just completed. We just completed Northwestern Mutual's new headquarters in downtown Milwaukee, so we've got the chops to do this 500,000 square foot addition here to the St. Camillus campus. So speaking briefly at a very high level with the overall project schedule right now, HGA is going to get into the design, but some of the things that are happening behind the scenes in addition to the design work is what we call the enabling or make ready work. So as part of the project, we will be tearing down the old Cordes building. And the Cordes building has a number of important infrastructure requirements that are currently located there that service the entire campus. So items like gas that serves other areas of the campus, fiber which serves the phone system, security, things like that will need to be relocated as part of this, what we call enabling or make ready work, which will be going on over the next 4 to 5 months here. Once we finish that, a little bit of excitement starts with tearing down the old Cordes building. So there'll be a period of time where there'll be some what we call soft strip or some of the interior demo work, and then probably a month and a half, maybe 2 months after the beginning of February, you'll start to see some real action with tearing down the existing Cordes building. Once we get through that, anticipated groundbreaking right now for the project is summer of 2019. It's roughly a 24-month schedule, so substantial completion should be right around summer of 2021.
Now for the design update. This is the current rendering. It's probably been it's a little changed from the last time you've seen it. We've updated the building to include the 15 floors. So first floor amenities, and then 14 floors of units above. We've kind of retweaked the facade to align with some of the language and materials that are existing on the campus. and we've tried to push it in a little bit more of a modern, contemporary design. So now into the amenities. This is our ground floor plan. To your left would be Blue Mound, and then to the north would be the existing San Camilo building. And then to the right is the assisted living building. So as you enter the building from the left through the main entrance, you're kind of on the main corridor that ends in a chapel to the right, and then the lounge space and reception as you walk in the front door. San Camilo had asked us to focus on their kind of 4 pillars that they hold for their community. Culinary, which is represented in red at the top, with a pub and a dining space. Fine arts with a theater and multi-purpose room to house a wide variety of events. The chapel, as I mentioned before, brought up to the first level for more access and a little bit more room, and then wellness in the bottom corner with the pool and a fitness center. And to kind of tie everything together, there's a resident services area in the center of the building where the main elevator core is, where your mail, business center, meeting room is all available for you. Now Kara will kind of dive into some of the concept images for these spaces.
Great, so highlighting some of these areas like the 4 pillars, this would be the lounge right when you enter the building. This would be to your right. And then there's that large communal fireplace, double-sided, providing a variety of seating, acting as the hearth of the home as you walk in to feel very welcomed. It's a really great community space where you can interact with people as they're coming and going. And then there's that connection to the outdoors. Looking at the pub, another really great space for social interaction, to grab a beer, drink a glass of wine, hopefully catch the Brewers win tonight in the future. And then really interact with the other people in the tower, and that again is another more relaxed community space. Looking at the dining, again, another community space that provides that culinary, that elevated level of culinary experience where you can socialize with your neighbors, you can bring guests in, you can host, or you can have a family event. And then looking at the fitness and the wellness, that's going to provide you a variety of activity, a variety of exercise activity, including the machines, a pool room, and then an aerobics room for group activity.
So a little bit into the unit design, what we have is the typical tower plan, 12 units, a mixture of 2-bedroom and 1-bedroom units. There are 3 elevator cores that are housed along the circulation. One with an elevator and stair to your upper left, and then a main elevator lobby in the center that would bring you up to your floor and usher you into a common space for the floor, and then an elevator and stair lobby to your lower right. We did some concept images for the units within the spaces, a wide variety, and Kara's got those as well.
So we're highlighting some of the units. This is a range of the units showing a flavor of some of the style of the units and giving you a variety of your exterior options depending on the floor and the unit that you select. So looking at some of the common spaces in the units like the kitchen and the dining room, moving into a master bedroom. There we go. Moving into another community space within the unit of your living room, your dining room, and your kitchen. You can start to see the flavor of a palette, and you can start to place yourself in there with your own character of each of the units. Again, looking at another kitchen and living area, and seeing what you can see beyond what that activity is going on that exterior from your balcony. Looking at another master bedroom. Looking at a larger living room, dining room, and kitchen area. Yet again, another common living space in the unit. And then what that bathroom could look like in your unit.
So that was a very brief overview. I think we're turning it over to have some questions, but wanted to give a flavor of what the spaces would look like and where we're heading with the design.
questions?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. In the past, we've seen a bunch of selections for interiors and all of that. I presume that still exists, so.
Yes. So in the design center, there's those 3 palettes. There's the modern, contemporary.
So the question was about
Sorry.
palettes, so that everybody could hear the question, and what had been shown in the design centers.
Thank you. I'm trying to be a Vanna White. So yes, the 3 palettes are still there with the modern, the contemporary, and then the traditional. So you see in the unit renderings that there's a variety of the palette options, so those still stand true.
Any other questions? Yes.
Will the fireplace in the common area be gas or wood?
Right now, it's being shown as a gas fireplace.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is there any reason why it's taking so long to demolish that east building?
John, are you around? Can you answer that? I think there's a fair amount of work that needs to be done. There needs to be disconnections and a fair amount of other work in the
They've
start
known
end.
about it for a long time.
Can you repeat the questions?
Yep. The question was, why is it taking so long to demolish the...
Why is it taking so long to tear down Court East? Good question. So the actual tear down process will probably be 3 to 4 months, but there's also some environmental work that needs to occur prior to that. So there's some asbestos on some of the existing pipes, some ballasts that will need to be removed. So there's a lot of laborious work that needs to occur in addition to just the physical banging it down with a backhoe. Does that answer the question?
Not really, because you've had a lot of time, in my estimation, you've had a lot of time to begin to prepare this process.
So the actual tear down process can't begin until all of the current services that are in the building are relocated. You don't want to get in there and introduce a lot of water into the building as part of the abatement process when you've got live fiber, live phone equipment, and live services that currently serve the existing tower as well as other residents to the north. So there's a lot of behind the scenes work that has to happen.
And I'm Kevin Schwab, CEO for St. Camillus. I can maybe answer your question a little bit more clearly. I think your question is designed around why aren't we starting to deconstruct Court East sooner, right? Is that maybe what your question is? And if you can imagine, we're still going through the pre-sale process, right? If we continue at the same pace that we're on, we're optimistically looking at a start date of sometime beginning of summer of 2019. And so we don't want to tear down Court East too soon in anticipation of that, because it does take a lot of resources to do that. It also is a main thoroughfare for all of our residents in that meantime. So we want to kind of time taking down or time starting to take down Court East in conjunction with when we want to build the new building. Okay, that's why that's all timed that way. Okay. Is there any other questions that anyone can answer up here? All right, we'll start. Oh, sorry. The question is, and correct me if I'm wrong with your question, have we considered reducing rates for people that are that live a few months in either Arizona, Florida, or somewhere else during the winter months? And we do offer some considerations for that currently, and we're going to continue that on as well with the new building as well. Mainly that's around the food costs and so forth, because those aren't used when someone is out of their building. But the rent is still need to be paid. So, but there is some reductions that do happen, and we can. And one of the sales associates or senior living specialists can go into a little more detail on that.
there is a per month, there is that entrance fee. I need help from one of our senior living specialists for the exact rate, but there is a deposit that's made on a garage fee, as well as a monthly rate that goes into it. How many garage spaces are we putting in? I forget the count.
Right now, we're at 170 garage spaces, so there's one per each unit. Assuming that each unit uses a garage space, if that isn't the case, obviously.
So there'll be definitely one guaranteed per unit, and then optional, depending on if certain people don't use one, they'll be able to be purchased after that. There was a question up here, too. Oh.
My question was just, are all of the residents of Court East, have they been moved out, or are they still in process?
The question was, is everyone in Court East, that's the building that we're going to be raising, is everyone moved out? And the answer is yes, everyone's moved out. What is still in that building is a lot of infrastructure. So a lot of offices are still being used over there. So when we talk about some of the enabling work that goes into that, we're relocating a lot of those services into elsewhere on the campus. Another, I'll get, you want one more question way in the back. The question is there storage available outside the units? And the answer is yes. It's in the garage level, right? Garage level. Yes.
The dining room, you're going to leave them in this building and expand it, or are you going to have another eatery in the East Tower as well?
The question is, what are we doing with this dining room in this building as well as in the new building? We didn't get to the point of sharing the redesign of this building yet, but we're going to maintain. Definitely, we're going to expand on the country store, or whatever it is, Blue Mound Market, whatever it's called today. We're going to expand upon that to make it more eating friendly inside there. Plus, the current dining room will be a dining venue as well. Obviously, it needs to be cut down a little bit because that's a thoroughfare into the east residence. And then there's the bar, which is kind of on the corner of between where the new residence meets the existing, and then the kind of where the thrift shop is today. That's the new dining room in the east residence, approximately. So we'll have 5 dining venues on the campus. I mean, for this building, sorry, for the 2 buildings. Heather, yes.
It's something that we definitely have to look into. Currently, we're still in the DD phase, so we're kind of on the higher level. We're starting to dive more fully into those details, and we've just recently brought the MEP team on board. So with the advent of the electrician's input, we can get into that. So I'm sorry. The DD is a design development. It's typically the second phase in the design process. The final phase would be construction documents, and that's when we develop the actual set that we hand off and help the contractor with to build the building. And obviously, Gilbane is involved all the way through the process and has their input.
So the MEPs are the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. So when that term gets thrown out, that's what we're referring to. So as they come on board, we'll need to make accommodations in the basement for electrical cars. It's going to be something that's coming more and more in the future. So.
Yes.
How many more units do you have to sell to meet the financing threshold?
Right now, we're looking at 46 additional units. We're at 72, right? We got to get to 118. We're looking at ways, we aren't getting too ahead of ourselves, looking at ways to maybe doing it before the 70%, but we have to outweigh the cost versus the benefits of that. So, but right now we're on track, I think, to beat that June mark, but you know, things can ebb and flow a little bit throughout the holidays as well. So that's why we're conservatively saying June of 19 to start. There was a question, yes.
Plumbing and electrical pretty much set in place, and if you get close to the time you want to get into your apartment, can kitchens be redesigned?
So right now, there's a limited amount, being that this is a multi-story tower. So the question was about, can you move kitchens and plumbing around to accommodate? There are some ability to customize and move things around. There is going to be a limitation on how far and how much, though, based on where fixtures are located. So plumbing stacks are going to be sort of set in place. Minor movements one way or the other, there's going to be some room for. We're working with the mechanical and the plumber to make sure that where they place the stacks is in a location that can provide as much flexibility as possible, but there are limitations to that. So it's not going to be a blank slate. There are going to be some limitations on what can move and what cannot move. Yes?
Is there some plan in place regarding a tunnel as far as when that tunnel will come down and what passageway will be put in?
The question is, how are we going to tackle the travel from this existing building into the rest of our campus when we take down Court East? Because right now, that Court East building serves as an interior corridor to connect the two, right? And so how are we going to do that safely for both residents, as well as we have a lot of staff going back and forth, right? For maintenance staff, housekeeping, food service, etc., to get between the two areas. That's probably our next steps after we start going through, finalizing some of the design documents that they're speaking of, is to talk about when we start to take down Court East, how are we going to make that happen safely? So we are working on that. Residents, most likely it'll be a transportation service because it will still be an active construction site, so we don't want to put anyone in harm's way. So right now we're preliminarily planning on having a transportation from San Camilo into the rest of the campus to make sure that safely happens, and with employees, it'll be available to employees as well, but sometimes we have large pieces of equipment going back and forth too, so we have to figure that part out a little bit. But mainly for residents, it would be transportation. Yes.
Could you comment on what is happening to the old heart hospital and how that will relate to the new residents?
Yes. The question was, what is happening with the former heart hospital? Well, back in, I think it was June, in June, Ascension sold the hospital to Freighter, which is very good news for a lot of people, for especially us, and especially our residents and future residents, because we know it's going to maintain as a hospital. Right now, and just in speaking with them, they don't have any definitive timeline when they want to start operating it as a hospital. They are doing a lot of work on it. If you can imagine, that building was vacant for 2 or 3 years, and so if you look at it from more of the north side of that building, they're doing a lot of work inside there. Don't know what they're doing in there, but they're doing a lot of work. And the plan is they wanted to take their time and put something in there that would strategically be able to be used in the hospital, not just to use it as an overflow hospital, but they want to use that particularly for some use. They haven't decided yet, but we've been lobbying them, obviously, to have it some geriatric focus, right, for both our residents, and plus, Freighter's very confusing to navigate, so I think that'd be in their best interest to do that as well. And so I've been meeting with them on a periodic basis. I'm meeting with them this afternoon to talk about that and other plans for some of their office building that's behind there. That's the best I can tell you at this moment, but they are going to be operating as a hospital. They're not. It's nice that when Ascension was selling it, they were looking at anyone that would buy the hospital, which could have been torn down and put a high-rise there, right? That's not happening, so that's good news. And they want to maintain that structure. Any other questions? Yes?
Interior designer, obviously she's, looking at the entire building, but then will you be available to personalize apartments?
We are looking for that in the future, that I would be able to sit down with you and help walk you through your unit if there was any kind of customization as far as, like, let's say the countertop finish, for example. Would you like that to be granite or would you like that to be a quartz material? Like things like that. And then it progressively gets a little bit deeper where it would not only be me, but it would be the architectural team who would help work through certain things like the question about plumbing and electric. Then it would be more of a holistic thing versus something just as finishes.
And to sort of expand on that, right now we're working on the basis of the unit. So there are certain standard, if you've seen the finished boards, obviously, those are sort of the standard units and the standard materials. So we're working on establishing those in the future once we get past the design development into CDs, and this becomes a little bit more advanced into construction documents. That would be happening and having more customization and understanding where those happen. So there's sort of a timetable for it, and that sort of falls out of where we're currently in the base designs. Yes?
When do you anticipate those consultations?
We're imagining that'll be in early next year. Yes, and obviously ongoing as the construction process happens and as units fill up and whatnot.
So you'll really get to know me.
Any other questions? Yes.
Are you going to stay around here after the meal for a little while so that some of us who are challenged reading floor plans could talk to you?
Surely. The question was, are we going to be sticking around a bit afterwards? Yes, we will. We can stick around and answer questions on floor plans, on anything else. Any other questions?
You can go eat your dessert now. Yeah.